What's going on, guys? It is Wednesday, January the 6th, and that means, of course, it is time for my news radar. Ever since we got word that Apple was making a set of true wireless on-ear headphones, I think a lot of people were very, very interested. Obviously, the AirPods line have not only been extremely popular, but I think that they've been kind of revolutionary in a lot of ways. I've talked on this channel before about how Apple isn't always the first to do something. Maybe they're like never the first to do something. But when they do something, the rest of the world stands up, pays attention, takes notes, and then begins copying their slight alteration of a design. We've had true wireless earbuds for quite a while, but now, as you all know, wireless earbuds look like AirPods now. That's just what wireless earbuds look like. They all just look like AirPods because AirPods are the ones that everyone seems to want. Even their cases look like AirPod cases. It's just what has to happen. So when Apple does anything, be it headphones or maybe a dual screen device, which we talked about in the last episode of News Radar, something like the Surface Duo, that's a big deal. It's important. So the Apple AirPods Max, a set of true wireless on-ear, over-ear actually, headphones that have reviewed quite well. $549. Definitely not a price that you look at and think, wow, what an incredible value. But nonetheless, they've sold very well already. They were sold out for literally, I want to say they were sold out until like March or something after they first released. Unbelievable. A lot of people saw these things launch and said, how on earth are these things going to compete in terms of value when you're talking about, a comparison to something like Sony's XM4s or Microsoft's Surface headphones, Bose, etc., that are far, far, far cheaper. You can get a set of good over-ear noise-canceling headphones for less than $300, especially if you're watching out for deals. So how does $549 make any sense where these things are milled out of a single piece of aluminum or aluminium if you're not from these United States of America and you say it like that? They're super duper premium. Apparently they sound very good, although the reviews I've seen are that, the XM4s are quite comparable for a lot less, but they are the Apple version. They're Apple premium. Well, this new story here is actually really interesting to me. So apparently there are coming in the works, down the pipeline, a cheaper set of AirPods Max, $349, all plastic build. Now that brings them in line with a price that would truly compete with something like the Sony XM4s or the Bose line or the Surface headphones, etc., etc. We've got a tweet here from Leaks Apple Pro. The cheap AirPods Max are still a thing. However, although I haven't got a date for it, what I can tell you is that they are working on them. Price will be $349 and they will be made from plastic. If these things can maintain the specs, the sound, the quality, all of these things of the AirPods Max while going to plastic, which is something that I really don't hate because one, it'll be lighter, and two, it'll be cheaper, these things could be really, really impressive. And they mention here that $349 is there to compete with the Sony XM4s. Features like active noise cancellation, spatial audio transparency mode will all be retained. Obviously, if those things were taken out, then there would be no reason to buy this thing. It would be lacking all of those major features. I think that this is a really interesting thing, though. So for the longest time, we've been creeping towards more and more premium materials. You want your phones made of glass and aluminum or, whatever. Well, sometimes that's not, beneficial. Sometimes the benefit is not obvious. I mean, you look at something like the Surface Duo and you think, well, it's made of these premium materials, but it's made of glass. And I mean, it's fragile. I've never broken a phone before until the Surface Duo. Granted, my break was a very weird freak accident kind of a thing. I think if it had fallen in literally any other way, it wouldn't have cracked. But there's so many people with broken phones now made of premium materials. Personally, I'm fine with plastic. Give me a plastic phone. I even like what Google's doing with the Pixel line, the Pixel 5, and it's made out of metal. That's fine. Metal's good. Metal's cheaper, even if it's a little bit heavier. If it's not it's a single block of aluminum milled out. I don't care about that. Maybe have an uber premium line for people that do care about that, but make it cheaper, make it less breakable, make it more repairable, and don't make it out of these insane materials. The fact that this thing is glass and glass and glass and glass, and then like, you know, whatever, fairly breakable plastic. That's dumb. Honestly, it's just dumb. I mean, I don't have a Surface Pro in here, but they're made of magnesium, and I know that that would be expensive too, but like, why wasn't it just made out of magnesium? Make it out of plastic, make it out of metal. I don't want this thing to be breakable. Headphones, they're on your head all the time. You know, these things need to be somewhat durable, and you know, that metal, the aluminum it's made out of, is that going to scratch over time? I mean, they're packing in this stupid looking little case to come with it, which makes me think that they're not altogether that confident in its durability and its ability to not scratch, just like the Surface Duo came with that piece of crap bumper. That is a concession. That's them saying, it's going to break if you don't use this. So what do you guys think of the material change? Would you be more apt to buy a cheaper set of AirPods Max made of plastic versus the Uber Premium? Do you value that premium material? Is it worth $200 to you? Sound off down there in the comments. So let's talk now about the Samsung Galaxy S21 line. We've got another couple of leaks here. One comes from Evan Blass, EV Leaks on Twitter. I've been following that guy's stuff for a very long time, and this one is literally just a little graphic here that shows exactly what we're going to be working with in terms of the camera modules. We have the S21, and then we have the S21 Ultra, and it breaks down the camera modules here. So you have a front-facing 10 megapixel, 2.2 aperture, which is standard, fine. 12 megapixel ultra wide, 12 megapixel primary, and a 64 megapixel telephoto, which is actually really cool and really smart because that allows you to crop in and maintain a large image. So you're going to be doing some sort of combination, I would imagine, of actual optical zoom, but then having a large sensor to crop into. Software magic going a long way there. Then on the Ultra version, you get to swap things out to a little bit better place. The front-facing camera is going to go up to a 40 megapixel camera, so that's a big difference there. 12 megapixel ultra wide, 108 megapixel primary, so this is probably the same sensor or a slight upgrade to the sensor that was in the previous versions. And then you have two different telephoto lenses. They're both 10 megapixels, but there is two telephoto lenses, and notice the f-stop there being 4.9 on the second one. So you probably have maybe one's a 2 or a 3 and then one's a 5 or something like that. So the reason you do that, the reason you would want to have two telephoto lenses, you know, maybe one's a 2, maybe one's a 5, is because if you only have a 5, it sounds great. Oh, 5x zoom. Well, but that means, you know, from 1 to 5 up to 4.9, you're just cropping in on your primary sensor. So you're going to be having, it's like as you zoom in more and more and more, you're like good quality, worse, 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 bad, bad, awful, good again. So that's weird. So if you go with a 2 optical and then a 5 optical, you're like digital, 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 optical, zoom in on the optical, still okay, and then you go to a new optical and then you go a little bit further. So it's actually really smart. It gets you more granular, different levels of zoom, and it actually makes a lot of sense there. Now we have to talk about something else when it comes to the S21 line. So we've talked about in the past about how apparently S Pen support is going to be coming to the S21 Ultra, and the rumors were that the Note line was dying, that the Note would be gone, the Z Fold would slot into that position. But it looks as though, while some of that's true, maybe some of it isn't. We have a look here at a case, a leak of a case. Ooh, very exciting case. But wait, there's more. Apparently, this case will actually store the S Pen. So this is more confirmation here that that is indeed what is coming. I can't really tell from these pictures, and I've done some Googling, and I can't find a better image of this, of exactly what we're talking about here. But it looks as though maybe the pen kind of lives in this region or something like that. So rather than having it actually be stowed in the phone, it's going to be stowed in this case instead, which I think is, you know, it's fine. You know, they're looking at the S Pen being a $40 or less purchase. That's not too terrible, actually, especially considering that some styluses are very expensive. Looking at you, Surface Pen. But what does that mean for the Note line? Well, apparently, it's not dead yet. We're seeing reports now. This is one coming from Let's Go Digital, a great website. And they are saying that they have a source telling them that the S21 Note 21 Ultra, I should say, is in fact still coming, that it looks like we're going to get at least one more Note phone. And in fact, they've got this, Let's Go Digital, they're awesome. They come up with these incredible looking CG renderings of different devices. I've used their stuff many times in the past, and this is from their sources what the Note 21 Ultra is going to apparently look like. And honestly, I kind of think it looks kind of badass. I don't know what it is about this two-tone thing going on there, but if that's what it looks like, that's actually pretty badass looking. I'm into it, especially in that kind of greenish color that they're showing there. I think it looks pretty cool. So kind of a surprise there. We're going to get one more Note, and then probably this is the last one. I don't know. The rumors have gone back and forth. We've had very high-level, consistent leakers. I don't want to know, weird call somebody a leaker. Seems kind of weird. People who leak things go back and forth and say, you know, on one hand, you know, oh, there's no Note. And then 2 months later, oh, there is a Note. This is the last one. That was the last one already. Who knows? It's looking like this is the last Note, though. And I want to end on something that's just kind of fascinating to me. LG is working on some really weird stuff. So we know that they're working on folding rollable displays. They've done this in TVs. They've done this now with a phone that's coming out. Apparently they're working on a laptop design as well that is actually really intelligent. If you look at this, is one of their TVs where the actual display will roll up out of that when you need it. It's crazy, silly, big old giant sound bar down there is the housing for that. It's cool. It's interesting. It's not something that I'm like, you know, oh, I need that, but it's neat. Well, now they've got a patent here for what looks like a laptop. And what's really cool about this is that in this laptop, one of the things that have had to be in all of their rollable displays is some kind of a rigid backing or a frame. Well, in this laptop, you can see in this patent that the screen portion here that would come out is actually slightly curved. And you know this from, if you take a piece of paper and you hold it up perfectly flat, it'll flop over. But if you put a bend in it like that, it'll stand up rigid. That's part of the patent. It's actually really smart. So the screen will come up curved ever so slightly so that it will stand upright. It shows here a hinge, which, I mean, you know, so it would fold over on itself. That would scroll down. So you've just got this tiny little form factor thing that you would pop out, hit a button, and the screen would go zoop, and now you've got a laptop. So you've got a laptop with this itty bitty teeny tiny little form factor that you could take with you anywhere. I think that's really cool. They show some renderings here of, like, you know, what this might look like. Personally, I don't think these renderings bear any resemblance at all to their patents. They don't feature the hinge there. They don't feature anything like that. They're rolling it up into like a scroll you'd throw on your back or something, I guess. That's cool, I guess, but this seems like much more realistic for the future. I don't want a touchscreen keyboard. I want a full keyboard in a laptop. So what do you guys think of that crazy patent design? Is that something you would want to use? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? So guys, it looks like the news is finally starting to pick back up again after the new year. So stay tuned every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as I say every time, for the next edition of News Radar. I'll see you again on Friday, and until then, stay nerdy, my friends.